Dan Le Batard, he is a great radio host in Miami and also the Miami Herald columnist, and his TV show, Dan Le Batard is Highly Questionable. And he's a Heat apologist. He joins us now. All is well with the legacies in Miami, right, Danny?
Go down 0-1 and we amnesty Wade again.
Who do you think was nervous out of all the Miami Heat players? Who was most nervous before last night's Game 7?
Well, I had a very brief conversation with Pat Riley before this game, and he wasn't faking it. Like, he was super calm talking about this team was built for Game 7s. That was why they rose out of the earth, 3 years ago to much mockery. You saw last night that one team had no problems playing to that intensity, and the other team had never been in that situation before. A lot of young players, and it felt at times on defense like Miami was playing with 7 guys on the court at once. They were feeding like piranha.
What did you expect?
I didn't know what to expect, man, because it's really easy to say that this was a predictable result, but Bosh and Wade looked so bad. And if I had taken the uniforms and the names off of the players and just told you through 6 games, which is the team that's playing playoff basketball that wins, you would have said the Pacers.
Yep.
Offensively efficient, rebounding, defense. But I didn't recognize that Pacer offense. I was completely confounded. I didn't understand how it was that Paul George and Roy Hibbert, who are not efficient players, were efficient, and how Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, who are immensely efficient players, who had career highs in field goal percentage this year, weren't being efficient. I didn't understand what I was seeing.
Also, if you're looking at the Miami Heat, and I'm trying to figure this out with Dwayne Wade, he sort of visits that fountain of youth when he needs to. He goes into the locker room and gets that magical tape for his knee or something, and then he all of a sudden comes out. It's almost as if he was pacing himself for this series. Is that okay? Can you do that in the finals?
Well, people say that. I don't believe it, Dan. I believe that what we do in this instance is we choose the spot that Dwayne Wade is good in, and then we say he picked his spot. That was the big spot. But he was terrible throughout the Chicago series, and then he was good at the end of Game 5. Okay. I mean, are we going to say that Dwayne Wade can summon this in elimination games? I think he's very limited, and he can't summon it the way that he used to. And we're assigning character traits and tangibles to him. When last night he was 7 of 15 for 21 points. Mm-hmm. That's a nice game. Mm-hmm. That's not Dwayne Wade. That's a shell of Dwayne Wade.
But is that what you will have to come to expect if you're a Miami Heat fan from now on?
I don't know. That's an excellent question. In fact, it doesn't even matter if you're a Miami Heat fan. I think it just comes down to what LeBron James comes to expect. Is this injury or is this aging and foreshadowing? Because I think that decision that he's got to make in a year, again, will have something to do with whether he believes it's aging or foreshadowing or injury. And I will say that usually introspection is not brought on by winning. Change is not brought on by winning. Losing is what causes those things.
But do you think that what LeBron does in a year from now will be predicated on Dwayne Wade's knees or maybe Chris Bosh?
Well, I think it just has everything to do with what Pat Riley is going to do for him. And Pat Riley has proven when they went down there, I think I told you this before, Dan, when they went down to LeBron James to recruit him, he's a single, a product of a reckless single mother. He had to raise himself in a lot of ways. He's always surrounded by people because he doesn't like being alone. And the Heat organization that went in there, every person who was there had been with the organization at least 15 years. At least 10 years belonged to Alonzo Mourning. They were selling him on family. They were selling him on support. They were selling him on trust us. And if Pat Riley brings him championships by tailoring the offense to him, if Chris Bosh gets out of the way and plays on the perimeter to space for him, if Dwayne Wade gets out of the way so that he can be the superstar of this team, and if they surround him with shooters, they're giving him all the enticements and proof that they will do for him what is necessary to do for him to keep him happy as long as he's here.
Dan Le Batard, 7 you the ticket. Also, Dan Le Batard, Highly Questionable, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. You didn't sound like you were in fear of the San Antonio Spurs as you were the Indiana Pacers. Is that correct in assessing this next matchup?
Yeah, because Indiana presented a unique set of problems with youth, and if you want one guy to bother LeBron James, like if we're doing a draft right now, Dan, and I tell you, you got one guy in the league you're picking, and the job is to bother or slow LeBron James, who's the guy you're taking?
Not somebody on the Spurs, so I would probably take Paul George.
I'd take Roy Hibbert because when you look
Okay.
when you look, and if you want to go that combination, that's fine too. But I'd take Roy Hibbert because LeBron didn't go to the rim as much, and a lot of people would look at that and say that once upon a time that would have been viewed as fear. But this guy is a calculator of efficiencies made out of fast twitch muscle fiber, and he knows bad things happen around Hibbert, so he passes. He goes to Hibbert, passes when he does go to the rim. And so, yeah, I think that Indiana presented a unique set of style and matchup issues that San Antonio doesn't because the game's going to be out in the open floor now.
You would think that we've moved past the decision and LeBron at the end of games and who's going to take the last shot at the end of games. It's almost as if he keeps knocking down these hurdles. But what is left with LeBron and the people who don't like LeBron? I don't know if they ever will, but what is that next hurdle that he's going to knock down or has to knock down?
Well, he's got more ways to beat you than anybody in the history of the sport, okay? He has mastered the game. There is not a weakness. You want him to beat you from three, from mid-range, from the post. You want him to beat you passing. You want him to beat you on defense. There is nothing for him to sculpt. Now it's just collecting. It's accruing championships that bolster your legacy. That's all he's playing for at this point, to just stack these things on top of each other so he could be viewed with the immortal.
I keep saying to people, you don't understand the basketball IQ. A lot of times we look at somebody who's athletic and we don't give them credit for working hard or being smart. And a lot of that is this stereotype, maybe racial overtones, undertones with it. But I look at LeBron James' basketball IQ and his ability to play the angles. He's as brilliant as Joe Montana.
It's insane. It's insane, Dan. I mean, Mike Krzyzewski calls him genius, brilliant genius, and says he doesn't use those terms for everybody. So keep in mind how they won Game 1, okay, Dan? And a year ago, this was viewed as a weakness, all right? A year ago, this is him shrinking from a moment and not wanting the big shot. But what happened at the end of Game 1, imagine this, okay? Look at where we are with this player right now when you talk about his smarts. Frank Vogel took out Roy Hibbert, the guy who can stop LeBron James just about better than anybody, if indeed he can be stopped, took him out of the game late because he was fearing LeBron James making a pass, because he was fearing the same thing we were killing LeBron James for a year ago. He took out Roy Hibbert because he was afraid of that, and LeBron James did what he did, which is get the easiest game winner of his life. But it's specifically because, as a player, what he's giving you as the opposing coach is only a series of bad options to choose from.
The most important question I have for you is, what was Bieber wearing last night?
Oh, my God. How much did he fit in Miami? Just douche-tastic. Oh, dear God.
Look, Beckham, he fits in, and I could see where there's some synergy, maybe LeBron and Bex in an MLS franchise. But Bex can show up in a T-shirt as he did last night and look cool. Here's the Beebinator, and he's there courtside, and I go, come on, dude. Lose the hat, lose the shades. You want to fit in and be a basketball fan? But that was cringeworthy last night. I hope you're happy now.
He didn't lose the hat or the shades, but what he did lose was his Laker allegiance, which is where he was 6 months ago.
He's a front runner. Come on. He's a kid. He doesn't know better.
Well, you say that, but our town is filled with those, and I will admit, I will admit there's one of these in my family. This is an actual conversation, Dan, that I had with my father. When I called him a front runner, he started yelling at me, and he said, I am not a front runner. I have been with this Heat team since LeBron got here.
Wow, that long ago. Man, that is respect. He's been through some real hardships there.
I was with LeBron through thick and thin, Dan.
Well, good to talk to you again. Thanks for joining us. We'll check in with you again.
All right.
Thank you, bud. Dan Lebatard, 790 The Ticket. Dan Lebatard, highly questionable Miami Herald writer as well.